So I want to introduce you to NeuroTracker, which is a way of measuring your sports vision and your peripheral vision speed, and also how to radically improve it. So let's open this sucker up. Alrighty, so let's measure some sports vision. So this comes out of the University of Montreal over in Canada. And so what they've done is they've taken a group of professional athletes, and we're talking cream of the crop, Manchester United, Vancouver Canucks, who are the NHL team, and also the French Federation of Rugby, Rugby Union. And so these guys, this line here is how fast they can track the balls and still keep track. Because that one trial was, for who it was really fast, for who it was really slow, who it was just right. It's about finding what's right for you. And the very first go, on average, the professional athletes in the blue were able to do 4 balls much faster than those that were playing in college. They were college basketball and college football players, so not quite pro yet, still a bit young. And then the non-athletes were a little bit lower, although I reckon there was some Call of Duty players in there because that's probably a bit too high for non-athletes. What we also see is that the blue line up here, they increased faster. The pros not only started better, but got better more quickly. Damn. These guys improved as well. And I think that very much that accelerated learning rate really has to do with fitness and workload. Fitness and health and training actually makes the brain better. So if you're already fit and training heaps and you do this, you get more of a reward. So load in translated is how fast the balls are moving. So we want to always increase cognitive load. But once you get to a certain level, like anything in the gym, you get strong real quick and then we're on that slow. I'll show you what you can do at that point. And this is what it should look like. You should start sitting down, do nothing else but focus. Right? And your score goes up. See, that's your score, going up and up and up. And even just standing actually takes a bit more brain power. But every time you drop and then you improve. It's like adding weights. At first you can't do as many reps, but after a while, you start to adapt. That's fun. Done that. And that's epic. That's a Taekwondo world champion right there. And that's a bit more advanced, showing scenes on a screen. What would you do in that situation kind of stuff. And that's a little snippet of the Win You story that I couldn't get for you. So we want to increase cognitive load. We want to increase load over time, just like you increase load of how much you're running, how much you're lifting. Okay, number 3, what I've learned. Stress, worry, and injuries is terrible for our brains. So this is an example in 2016 when I worked with the Pride, where one of the boys came in, did his first NeuroTracker session, scored quite high. I reckon he probably scored around here. He wasn't the top. There was one guy actually who was here, and that was just remarkable. But this guy, he was well and truly above average. His first session, then he does his MCL. He's just come to town. He hasn't slept, he's on painkillers, he's worried about his place on the team. He comes in 5 days later, poor bugger, he came up my stairs on Edge Hill in his crutches, and for the next month, his brain was half of what it was able to process. Because he was stressed and he was worried and he wasn't getting any sleep and he was in pain. So that was a big eye-opener. That it's one thing to even recover from injury, but also just, is your brain at the state that it was? Is your peripheral vision as good as it was when you were injured? Should you even be going back out in the field if you're still kind of low? Because you might not know what to do and you might get hit again. That could be really bad. One of my clients, almost back to back, in the green, he's sleeping really well and he has a pretty good session. Starts off at a 1.5, and these are just, the higher the score, the faster the balls are moving. Starts off here. Second session, his brain's now warmed up. He kicks in a gear. Third one, he's starting to get a bit tired. Kind of like training. The brain operates. It is a physical thing. I'm not talking about the mind. Has a breakup. His missus breaks up with him. He's he's crying, he's upset, and he's not sleeping. He comes in and look at those scores. That was his first session. He still got a pickup, and he still had that fatigue, but man, he was well underdone for what he could normally do in a good state. So poor sleep, I guess, and heartbreak can really mess with your attention. Your parents, your teammates, your coaches, selectors, your opponents, they will notice that you're switched on, that you have upgraded something. They don't know what. You're not going to tell them because it's your competitive advantage. This is a study done from the Spanish Olympic team, and the athletes improved their peripheral vision over a period of time, their visual concentration, and their perception speed, all the things the NeuroTracker scores. And then their coaches also rated them, just kind of opinion-based. But you can see that there was a trend. Both the athlete felt they were improving, and the coaches also saw it in them. And that's a good thing when you're going for selections. It's also good to get social feedback. Wow, I'm sensing something in you. You look different. Or if your parents say, hey, your teacher said something really good about your concentration in school, or whatever. And yeah, a lot of the goalkeepers love to train and literally see it all. So real performance transfer. This is a gold standard of sports science, guys. When you can do something that's not even related to your sport and get a transfer. So we've got a group of athletes. They're males, okay? But on average, how old are they? They're 21. They started playing when they were young. They've been playing for a dozen years, and they're playing a fair bit. Does that sound about close to about you guys, give or take 2 or 3 years? Same kind of age range? Cool. They did 30 sessions of the NeuroTracker, 30 reps. So 30 times 20 over a period of 5 weeks. Did nothing else. They continued training. Actually, before they did that, they were put into a 6-a-side game, and a FIFA statistician sat there and went, good pass, bad pass, good pass, bad pass. Like actually rated their stats objectively. And they were also, the players themselves were asked to say, what percentage do you reckon you passed today? You know, your passing accuracy. And there was a good match between what they, how well they thought they passed, and the statistician. Then they did the NeuroTracker. So the first one is the one pre, and then after 30 sessions, they believe they were passing at 75% instead of 60%, a 15% improvement, real improvement. And the stats also showed that. They were making better decisions on the field. Just from training for 90 minutes, they were passing 15% better. Wouldn't it be nice to make 15% better decisions? Really good. Pro athletes are buying in. That's one thing I've found over the years. The Atlanta Falcons bought in big time. We're actually public about their advantage. They actually didn't say, keep it a secret, but Matt Ryan went to become the MVP and has said that he spends a lot of time doing it. He does it 3 times a week. And after training with NeuroTracker, Matt Ryan set a record where he's threw, this is American football, he threw to a record 13 receivers that year. No one's ever thrown to 13 different people throughout the year. You have your 3 or 4 that you love to throw to, but 13 different people. It's because he kept his eyes wide and his brain was running really fast, and whoever his brain told him he was open, his body would then go and hopefully make the pass. So that's one of the things I've noticed along the way. And again, this wasn't around when I started. This was only come along. Pro teams are also innovating. The Washington Capitals started using NeuroTracker in 2015, and they went on to win the Stanley Cup in 2018. And one of their big players was like, you know, it's making a difference. If you're going to lift a weight with your arm, why wouldn't you train your brain with your eyes? And so I pulled out a Swiss ball, remember those Swiss balls, and I just... I was having a blast again. There we go. I hadn't had that much fun in that training for so long. So creativity is so important when you feel stale. Try and add something new, and that was my way. Balancing on my bum was even harder. So you're sitting back, and like the Spanish guy holding the water polo guy, which Jesse let me know. Actually, Rob, that was water polo. But it's super challenging because we want to engage our balance and our eyes. And if we start to remember the neuroplasticity video where it said these connections, these wires, they build? If you do two things at the same time, they start to talk to each other and build strong connection. So if I'm doing this task, I'm focusing while I'm balancing, which systems start to talk to each other and work really well together? Your balance and your vision, you know? Or what about one of my athletes, we put him on the bicycle and his treadmill, the stationary bike, and he was pedaling, his heart rate was about 170, like really pushing it while he was doing NeuroTracker. He was a motocross rider who, carries around a 100 kilogram or more motorbike. So he wanted to condition having his heart rate super high and also have a wide peripheral vision. Because often when our heart rate's up, what happens to our peripheral vision? Meow. What happens when we get stressed? Meow. What happens when we make a mistake? Meow. Kind of go into our little shells. But we want to do the opposite. Whee! That's from Lambada. Keeping it real. All right, so that was a bit of a riff, but yeah, creativity unlocks flow, and there's so many different ways that you can imagine that you can combine with this. And the final thing I've learnt over the years is breath calms the brain. Sometimes I'll have an athlete go through, everyone takes a good breath. Oh, I love to hear that. And I'll be going a million miles an hour and talking really fast, so I'd love a deep breath too. What I found often is an athlete would be doing really well, like going up the rack, going back, pushing, but then they'd hit a point and they just start to get miss, and either get frustrated or it was a sign that they were fatigued. And at that point, I'd just make one suggestion, and that was breathe in when the balls show up on the screen, so 1, 2.5, and then as you track the balls for 8 seconds, nice calming breath. You see Ronaldo, you see JT, you see any of the football players taking their shots. There's always some level of the swimmers. There's always some kind of exhale to lower the heart rate, to calm the brain, and to kind of start to refocus. And generally when I do that, people will learn, and they won't even need to, I'll just see them they'll start to fall and get a few wrong, and they'll start doing their breathing, and they'll get themselves back on track pretty quickly.